Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning into the Quahog Corner, presented by Tide Talk. This is episode 26. I'm calling this one, JJ comes out of his shell, Evan crawls back into his. This is for RIFC's 26th week of play in the USL Championship. RIFC's record is 8-13-5, and we sit in 5th place in the Eastern Conference table, one spot below a home playoff game with 37 points. Just above RIFC is Detroit City FC with 38 points. The boys in amber and blue hit the road to square off against a hot Pittsburgh Riverhounds team who's crawling their way back into playoff contention, currently in ninth place with 32 points. If you remember, our last match against Pittsburgh was a lackluster 0-0 draw at Burn Stadium. I had planned to travel, make the trip down to Highmark Stadium for this one, but I am saving any travel plans for the rest of the season for any postseason action that might interest me. I am your host, the most, FQB, aka Fluffy, aka Kevin. Call me whatever you want, just don't ever call me a Harvard athletic supporter, and we are good. The format of those of you that are just joining for the first time is as follows. I will go on my rant, and then I'll open it up to the group. Everyone will get a chance for at least one takeaway, usually many more, depending on the number of listeners. If you want to speak, please make sure to request. No request will be granted until after the rant, unless I invite a speaker to join me. Before I get started, I need to mention that Tide Talk is a lot more than me being an asshole on Monday nights. There's a ton of great RIFC content out there. You have Ryan Healy and Matt Kerwin who do a great job for post-match podcasts 24 hours after game day, usually at 8:30 p.m. And then midweek, they do an away end where they invite either a member from a supporter group or somebody who is active on social media for the opposing club. Gives you a great look into their season and what makes them tick and things to watch out for. Also, we have several folks who are doing great jobs with blogs. We have a Lookout blog, a Beacon blog, all done by Matt Hands. Timmy S does some player ratings. It's a phenomenal player ratings chart, and he breaks down all the players that spend some time on the pitch for the evening. And then, of course, you need to visit TideTalkRI.com to stay up to date with all the content that we're putting out. Sometimes it feels like it's a ton. So if you haven't, definitely visit TideTalkRI.com and follow along. If you submit your, I don't know if it's necessarily subscribe, but we also do send out a newsletter to keep everyone current. This Saturday night, September 7th, at 6:30, join the Tide Talk team live at Providence Brewing for another pre-match pod. Have some delicious beer, watch some footy, and hopefully celebrate another RIFC victory as we climb our way to a home playoff match. I gotta do a special shout out tonight to my good friend and pro referee, Greg. I have no idea what his last name is. If you're listening, and I know you're not, Greg, I love you. Thank you for putting up with me. I flew home with Greg from Chicago on Friday, and he approached me in the airport. He saw me wearing, obviously I'm always covered in RIFC gear, and he walked up to me and asked me if I had worked for the club. I told him, no, does anyone this short and round have anything to do with soccer? We had a good laugh, and then I told him about obviously the Quahog Corner and Tide Talk, and he said that, hey, it's great, I'll be on the field, I'm the ref. To which I said, really? And then I continued to ask him about rules for which I know the answers on, but I let him know that coming to Rhode Island that he's going to have a lot of people counting when the opposing team takes their time on the ball, and we did all night long. So it's really quite funny. But I got to give a shout out to him because all in all, I think on the night he was one of the better referees that we've had throughout the season. And I'm not going to take any credit for put any bugs in his ear, but I think that's funny that I spent some time with him on a flight the day before the match. As always, we always start with the tailgate. A lot of shout outs here. D36 always puts on a phenomenal tailgate. A lot of people do a lot of great work to make these events happen. Shout out to Matt Hands and Sarah for the amazing Jello shots once again. I really like to put those down, and whenever they need to get rid of them, they know who to come to. Because if I'm not jamming down my throat, I'm walking around and handing them out. So shout out to them. Justin was on the grill for D36. The sausage and peppers, they were really good. Did a really great job. Shout out to the Bryant Band for playing with La Banda. That was really cool. I thought it added like a little extra flair. Every once in a while, they added like a little razzle dazzle in between like the war drums that we usually hear, which is unique and different. I was in the section for this game. Sometimes I'm not, sometimes I am. It's always good to get back in the section, get in front of everybody and celebrate with everybody. So that was really cool. And just a general shout out to the relationships that are being made among the fans. People come from all over. Everyone's very different, but what unites us is this club and our love for the team. And it's really great getting to know everybody and forming these relationships that I'm assuming are going to last as long as we remain close to the club. And I think that's really special. Also, note here, shout out to what I call the Germans, the folks from the German American club in Pawtucket. They always show up in force, and they're always awesome. They have amazing flags in the parking lot. If you haven't seen them, take a look. Awesome work. Also, their vests that they wear, unbelievable. And now, let's dive into the complete domination of Birmingham Legion. How lucky are they that the score line only ended 2-0? Given the pace of play in this one and the pressure RIFC had in our final third, the chances that we had, this game could have easily been 4 or 5-0. I really believe that. And we're gonna take a look to why. In the first minute of play, right shortly after Birmingham's kickoff, there was a play where I want to say it was Ibarra came in for a tackle. Ball came loose. Holstad takes the ball off field. He dishes it to Quazera up the wing. Quazera finds Jack P., who really had a beautiful wide open opportunity on Van Ogle. He skied it a little bit, but you could tell right from the jump that we were there to play. We were there to win. We were there to get up early. It was phenomenal to see that early in the game. Obviously, the return of Jack P., having him as a game changer, it fixes a lot of problems for us. Really, from minute one to in between minute 1 and the 42nd minute, it was just us pounding on the door of Birmingham Legion. Our pressure was phenomenal. There wasn't anything too crazy except for when we thought we scored a goal and let off a bunch of smokes to only have it be called offsides. Or I'm not even sure it was offsides. They might have just said didn't cross the plane. I don't know. Either way, it was awesome, but obviously a huge letdown. In the 42nd minute, there was a good ball. Jack P. played to Dequa. He was at the top of the 18. He turned and he didn't have enough on the ball, and it went pretty much straight to Van Ogle. He was able to get off a little bounce. But it was just another great look. Definitely on target opportunity, and if he had put a little bit more mustard on it, it would have been a goal. In the next notable chance, 66th minute, Clay Holstad, top of 18. This was aside from our scoring opportunities, this is the biggest opportunity of the night. Clay just lets it rip in his sweet spot right there, the 18. Huge save for Van Ogle. Really, really we're just knocking on the door of this whole game. But then something incredible happens in this game. I mean, nothing short of a miracle, I would say. I know that many of you will feel the same. In the 67th minute, God, literal God, came down from the clouds above and whispered into Coach Cano's ear and said, "It is time, my son. Send J.J. Williams onto the pitch and let it be done." 3 minutes later, in the 70th, 71st minute, Quazera has a one-on-one opportunity in the corner, like he does many times, tries for a cross, gets a deflection off of Enzo Martinez that falls right at the feet of Marky Barra for a nice cross to JJ, who very gingerly, with his back to the defender in a goal, dishes a beautiful assist to Steven Turnbull for a rocket of a goal, sending Turnbull into Section 13 for a phenomenal goal celebration and his third goal on the season. I mean, it was insane to be there in the section. All of us rushed over. I know Matt got to give him a good old pat on the back, doing a good old attaboy. Just the place erupted. It was unbelievable. So 3 minutes after JJ comes on the pitch, he gets an assist. Turnbull gets a goal. We are well on our way to getting 3 points. I mean, just 3 minutes after JJ touches grass, the game has changed. In the 80th minute, Mr. Brito comes on. Joe has played so well off the bench. This is his third or fourth time coming off the bench where he has played his role up to expectation. He hustles out there. He made some really great tackles. He distributes the ball well. I've been really, really happy with all of Brito's play as of late. Nothing notable in this game, but again, he just comes on and does a really great job. In the 88th minute, Holset has a really great breakaway play, has lots of space, moves centrally into the box and kind of gets in a little bit of a traffic jam. The ball bounces around a little bit and doesn't have a great look, but Quazera was right there. He had a good opportunity on net. Also could have been a goal. But then in the 90th minute, in the dying minutes of the game, Quazera has a corner and he finds the big, beautiful curly hair of none other than J.J. Williams. And he just fucking buries it. Absolutely beautiful goal. Just unbelievable. I mean, a goal and an assist. What a night for J.J. Williams. Speaking of J.J. Williams, we have some J.J. Williams talk we got to get to. So our friend and blogger, Matt Hands, he wrote a blog for a pre-match. And he did say that J.J. Williams was going to get subbed on and he was going to score a goal and that Rhode Island FC was going to win 2-0. But also, Matt Hands has been a Doyle simp for the past 2 or 3 weeks, saying that Doyle deserves to start over JJ. And while that may or may not be kind of okay to say, only because we have inside knowledge that JJ may have taken a knock, I'd agree with that. But in no planet does anybody look at JJ Williams and Doyle, their stats and their performance, and say, yeah, I'd rather have Doyle. And then there's Evan, our dear friend Evan, the man that brought you hits like Kano out and Zachary Haribo is the worst player in the USL Championship, says that J.J. Williams is cursed. He is the worst player on the squad. He would like me to add that this is the worst player on the squad based on expectations. That came after the fact, but J.J. Williams came in on a must-win evening in Rhode Island in front of the home crowd and made it happen. Literally changed the entire game just by touching grass. Assist, goal, 2-0 RIFC victory, 5th place in the Eastern Conference table, moving fucking mountains. That's what JJ Williams did for us. There's 8 games left on the season. Originally, I had the Tide finishing with 52 points, but I've changed it to be a bit more bullish. I have them with 5 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss, ending with 54 points. Also holding a USL championship record holder for draws on the season, which would bring them to 15. That's, of course, if I'm right. Anything can happen. I don't see us losing any of the games that I am thinking are going to be draws or wins. I do think that maybe some of the wins could become draws. Either way, I think we're in really good shape. This team is definitely knocking on a home playoff game door. Detroit City FC has some really tough games ahead, and we need to make sure that we're closing out games if we want to get that home playoff spot. Some interesting things here. If you look at the entire league, who else has 5 losses or less? There's not many. It's Sac Republic, Charleston, and Louisville. And then there's Rhode Island. That is fucking elite. All of those draws, all of that early frustration, all of that, hey, they're figuring it out. How many weeks should we give them? I'm guilty of it. I was putting a lot of pressure. I was like, my expectations were too high. I need to come back down to reality. All of those draws, every single one of them, is going to mean everything in the next couple weeks. I'm super excited for the remainder of the season. I'm hopeful. We have almost everyone available to play. Amos is back in training. Kofi is back in training. I don't think anyone else is really hurt, except I think Zachary's going to be back next week. We're looking good. We are going down to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is kind of on a little bit of a hot streak. And it is difficult to play at Highmark. So it should be interesting. All that being said, I'm going to open it up and see who we have for requests here. Mr. Hands, Doyle Simp, and a blogger for Tide Talk. How are we this evening?
So gonna start with per usual. I say this after like every home game, but tailgate was great, obviously. Atmosphere in the stadium was great, of course, as always. And great win. I agree with pretty much what you were saying. We dominated them basically the whole game. So I don't think Birmingham ever really looked threatening at all. They had a couple long shots, I think, but they never really did much. So great game from us. I think I gotta shout out Clay. I think Clay was awesome. Really box to box midfielder. He was all over the place. He was tracking back to make tackles in the corner. He was running all the way up the field to do an attack. He was awesome. So Clay was all over the place. I mean, I guess he usually does that, but I think even more so in this game. He was awesome. So credit to Clay. And then, I guess, first thing I would say on the lineup, before I get into the whole JJ and Doyle thing, it was good to see, obviously great to see Jack P back, and also Frank Darce, who I'm a huge fan of, back in for, he came in for Stoneman. I think made sense. Not that Stoneman did anything wrong, but I think, if you want to give Frank a game off last game, makes sense to bring him back. If you're going to bring him back in, that makes the most sense. I've kind of come to see that I think Kano just really wants Yao middle of that back three for his physicality and all that. So even though he's not as great on the ball, though I will say, knock on wood, he's been better lately. I don't think he's made as many mistakes as he did obviously earlier in the year. But I think wants him there. So it really only leaves Duggan on the left side and then either Stoneman or Darcy on the other side. So, but I thought Frank was really good, per usual, a really solid game. And, back P in attack was great. And that kind of ties into my JJ Doyle thing, which was, to me, the whole JJ Doyle discussion was kind of about like who should start with Dequa, but then we got Jack P, and then it ended up just being Jack P was going to start, and neither of JJ nor Doyle started, and we kind of switched to playing like 2 number 10s and then just Dequa as the striker, which obviously worked. I thought Jack P was great. Obviously, you talked about the chances he had. He had a really good game. Didn't get on the score sheet or on the assist or anything, but he was really good, obviously. But yeah, as for JJ, look, I'm super happy. I'm thrilled. JJ had a good game off the bench. You know, my original point about the whole thing was where I was coming from was I totally get what JJ does for the team as far as his hold-up play and trying to get other players involved and being like an outlet for long balls and all of that. And that is important, yeah.
Now's your chance to completely redeem yourself live on the Quahog Corner. Carry on.
No, so I understand everything that he does and brought to the team. I just felt like at this point in the season, given what we have been doing recently, except for the Hartford game, which, you know, they suck, so that doesn't count. But, you know, we got 3 goals in that game. But in our other games, we had trouble scoring, right? Like we had 1 late goal against Detroit, 1 late goal against Oakland, and then, you know, goals in our other 2 games. Who was it? Loudon and Indy, I think. Yeah. If I'm getting that right. So basically, I kind of was like, well, we need to get our forwards going to score goals. You know, we can't just rely on, Decoy could be one of them. You know, we can't just rely on the other guys. It's great to get the goals we've gotten from Frank and from Clay and from other players, but I wanted to see our forwards score. And at the time, it's looked like Doyle was kind of getting into those better spots when he was playing. And so that was my kind of argument for him starting. But, yeah, the thing is like, JJ didn't start this game either, so if I can like make an excuse myself, it's not like they chose to start JJ and he had a great game the whole game. They brought him off the bench just like they've been doing, except JJ really turned up in this one, and like, I'm glad, because like, I think he has a lot of ability. I just think he hasn't been living up to it so far and that could be due to injuries, and obviously he started the season hurt, and you know, we could have a knock now. So who knows? Like there's always going to be things that we don't know about as fans. But yeah, I'm super happy that he did what I wanted him to do. He was in the box, you know, that little assist he got to Turnbull, he was in the box. He was in the spot where like, I want him to be. And then obviously the corner, he's going to be in the box on the corner, but he got the header and scored. And, you know, we've talked about, I don't remember if this was on the last corner, but I feel like I responded to somebody saying something about JJ's like physical prowess and aerial prowess. And I was like, yeah, he's got to do that in the box. Cause like, he should be doing that in the box. He should be able to win headers like that. Like he's in there. And so, yeah, I'm glad he's doing it. And I really hope that continues and he can push forward like this, because if he starts like banging in goals, like we're extremely dangerous, especially with Jack P back and everything. Like our outlook is really good for the season, and like no one in the league is going to want to play us. So, yeah, that's what I got to say. So, again, super happy. And yeah, like you said, I'll plug my blog and say that, yeah, I did for once actually get it right in the blog and called it 2-0 and the JJ goal. And they also said Frank was going to come in and be for Stoneman. So, I'm not often right, but I got all those things right. So I'll pat myself on the back there. But, yeah, I'm excited to hear from, everyone else, I'll say, about this JJ stuff. So up the tide.
Thank you, Matt Hands, as always, for listening in and contributing. Some things there that I just want to piggyback off of. Clay, couldn't agree more. I mean, Clay is my favorite player. I've been saying that since week 1 of the season. He's an absolute animal. His speed is incredible. The way he tracks back, the way he defends, the way he carries the ball off the field. There's not much about Clay that I absolutely don't love. So yeah, great performance, for Clay. And the other thing I didn't mention in my rant, which is absolutely foolish and, forgetful of me, is Koke with the clean sheet. It's not like they had, any really great opportunities, but you know, you have to mention it. I mean, Koke has been playing really well. And it's just awesome because he's such a freaking great guy. And he's an outstanding captain. So you love to see it. Everything else in there, yeah, I agree. It was good to see Nodarse back out there. Also one of the favorites. But yeah, you called it in the blog. So kudos to you. You don't need to pat your own back. There'll be plenty of people in here that can do it for you. With that, we got a request from our friend up the road, or actually, I don't know where Todd lives, but Footy New England is with us. Footy, what's going on, man?
Hey,
What's going on, brother?
I hope everybody's good. I didn't have a chance to watch the game. I was out with friends and, I watched the replay and, a lot of the things I have to say is just generalizations, but, hard for, RIFC is dangerous. They have so many guys that can burn you and so many guys that can score goals that you have to pick your poison. And when you pick your poison, wherever you go, that next guy steps up. And that's the key. And that's the key aspect on winning. Um, they, that's my general take. They have so many guys that are scoring goals and that can beat you from different spots. They did bring in Dequa to be that talisman, but he's not really doing that, but he's still having a very productive year. He has like 7 or 8 goals, like 4 or 5 assists. It's coming from all over the place. My take on Panayotu is if I was RIFC, I would not just expect that he's just going to be here for the remainder of the year. The Revs can recall him whenever they want. All it takes is for 1 or 2 more guys on that team to get injured, and he's going to be back up there. So I wouldn't just throw him out there to be the automatic starter week in and week out. I would even think about bringing him in off the bench as a difference maker. Keep trying to keep the flow with the guys that have been there year one. Keep trying to build that cohesiveness and building towards the stretch run into the playoffs. I don't know how you guys would think about that, but that's what would be my take. 'Cause he could be gone tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to be able to rely on him in minutes and stuff. So keep up the good work. I know you guys are proud of what you guys are building down there, and you should be. Peace out.
Hey, thanks, Todd. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. It is true. All it's going to take is a Knox up the road in Foxborough, and they're going to just recall Jack. I think that with a couple of signings that they've made, and they're at better health right now, we're okay. But obviously, if anything happens, he's going to be likely the first guy they call back. I don't think that they're going to be calling back Spalding anytime soon. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that we'll see Jack off the bench, but that is a very valid point, and it makes a lot of sense. But I think the other way to look at it is smoke him if you got him. And I want to see him out there controlling the pace of play and distributing to guys and making some shit happen when we have him, because the 4 games we had him before, it was a big difference maker, and I'm thinking it's going to be the same now. So if we can have him for just a few games, we're going to use him to, I think, our complete advantage. But that is a very solid point you made. Let's see. The man, the myth, the legend, the player ratings guy, Timmy, what's going on, brother?
What's up? Can you hear me?
No, we can hear you loud and clear. You sound beautiful.
Cool. Yeah. I was just gonna say, I had to watch a replay of the game, wasn't able to make it, but I wanted to say that the defense I feel like has been really good lately, and we're not talking about it as much. I sent my little spreadsheet in Discord earlier today, but we've only conceded 2 goals in the last 5 games, which is the best of any team in the Eastern Conference, and even those 2 goals, they were it was Hackshaw's headed goal on the corner where Yao kind of just fell asleep, and then it was like a crazy volleyed goal at Indy in that game in the middle of the week. So I guess that was basically it. I just kind of wanted to shout out the defense. You mentioned Koke as well, with 3 clean sheets in the last 4 games. So I don't know. I just feel like we're going to be really tough to beat if we're lucky enough to make the playoffs, which we're looking in really good position to do after last week.
Hey, Tim, I really enjoyed the player ratings this week. I did notice that it's not often that you give eights or above to players, but I did happen to notice you gave I think it was J.J. Williams who gave an 8 off the bench. Can you kind of like talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, I wasn't even going to comment on the JJ thing because it's just
I think I think you might have said it was the perfect substitution. I think you said. I'm not sure.
yeah. I mean, it's funny because the first match against Birmingham or Birmingham, I don't know how to say it. Haribo was like the impact sub who came in, scored 2 goals, and changed the game. And in this game, it was totally JJ Williams. Within 5 minutes, he had the assist. If you want to question whether he really meant to do that touch or lay off to Turnbull, that's fair. But an assist is an assist, and even in the time between him scoring the goal, and I think the broadcast people said it as well, but like he was super involved on defense when we were kind of hunkering down and trying to hold on to the lead, or the few times when Birmingham did kind of attack. Like he was clearing balls with his head. He was chipping in on defense. So I don't know what more you could really ask for from a sub. I would think he will probably be back in the starting lineup going forward, especially with Quizera leaving for international duty.
No, rightfully so, for sure. Very good. Well, thank you for contributing and listening in as always, Tim. Really appreciate it. Obviously, I agree with your sentiments about Mr. Williams. And with that, it is time for everyone's favorite segment, Up the Evan. Evan, good evening. How are you, sir? Evan, what happened?
Apologies. I have a cat. I'm trying to get him away from the mic. Give me 1 sec.
Oh, give that pussy some airtime.
He's in the comments. But I have a question. First things first. Let's see. How would I say this? What do we think? Do we think Birmingham is currently the worst team in the playoff picture? Because I think they are. If that's the case,
Indy.
So, excuse me, you say Indy?
Yeah.
No. It's Birmingham.
It's Indy.
No. It's Birmingham. Because they stunk it up again. Okay, you even said they were shit. So does JJ just show up when the team's shit?
Were they that bad, or did we just steamroll them because we're so awesome?
No, Birmingham is that shit because A, they don't have a striker and they have so many injuries. Like, they were pathetic. Okay.
Well, can't both be true?
Anyway.
Can't we steamroll them as well, though? I think both things can be true.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Birmingham is just in poor form and they are shit right now. Teams are starting to figure out, because they don't have a striker, that they can be a little more aggressive with them on defense because Birmingham doesn't know how to put the ball in the net. Okay. That's a fact. But, Golden, I have a question for you. I know you didn't watch the game, but, here's kind of the mindset going on right now. Do you remember how last year Josie Altidore scored an excuse me goal for the Revs and everyone went, Josie's back? It's kind of that with JJ because he has 2 goals. 2. He scored a goal to get past, wait for it, Connor McGlynn, who isn't seeing the pitch that often, Karifa Yao, not known for as a goal scorer, and Grant Stallman, who he has a really rocket for a foot, but sometimes it's not very accurate, okay? He has 2 goals. He finally shows up, and it's a shitty opponent. I am not celebrating this, okay? I am not saying he's back, okay? Because, and context is very important here. Context is very important here, okay?
All right.
I will say it again because I'm really ashamed to tie talk how I have to keep repeating myself and you keep cherry picking every single thing I say.
We do love cherries.
The reason I was saying Connor Smith out for the 50th time at the time was because we had 1 win, and the way Connor was deploying the team, it was to draw games. Never once was it to go out there and win when we had the one win. And it climaxed with that Detroit game. Okay?
Didn't you say that those draws are looking pretty good?
Okay. I'm going to actually just speak about the draws in a minute because I have a point on Pittsburgh, so hold that thought, Kevin, okay? The Zach Harrell thing, before he scored those goals, he had there was nothing that could say that he was going to be a goal scorer. Nothing like that. I didn't see it coming. No one did. Everyone thought it was going to be more of a defensive midfielder.
But
okay?
nobody thought he was the worst player in the USL Championship either.
Go by his stats. Go by his stats. He was doing nothing in USL. All he was doing was getting on the
so now you want to just go by stats from pre-existing clubs? So let's look at JJ's stats in Tampa.
Excuse me, Kevin. Reclaiming my time. Okay. When we got him, that's what I went by. So don't even try to change the subject. I know what I said. Stop cherry picking what I'm saying. I am not going to sit here and say JJ is back after he completely botched the first touch and it went to Turnbull for a goal. That you can call that an assist, okay? I could do that. That's not an assist. That was a poor first touch.
That was a cheeky touch. It was beautiful.
No, it wasn't. It was a poor first touch. Okay. Now, on the goal itself, it was a good goal. He should have scored that. You know why? Because he was unmarked. So, congratulations, you got the goal. It wasn't that hard. Okay. Now, you mentioned, and I'm going to go back to what you were saying, Kevin, okay? You mentioned the Jack P chance that they had where you wasn't sure if it was offsides or it was out. They claimed that Jack P didn't save it from going out of bounds. That's what the call was, which I watched the replay. It's right on the line. Even if we had VAR, I think they would have gone with whatever the call was. It was like right on the line. But here's the other thing I learned with this game, going back to the game. No, because look at the stats that I provided in the chat. Doyle's still better than him even after those goals. He produces better in 90 minutes. It's a fact. Okay?
If we were in the South, I would say bless your heart.
But we're not in the South because we're not losers. Okay?
Well, that's disrespectful to Clay Holstad and the rest of the team that's from the South.
Really, Clay Holstad plays for Birmingham Legion? I don't think so.
That's where he hails from.
Does he play for Birmingham Legion? No, he does not.
No, but I don't want him to. The whole team listens to the Quahog Corner. I don't want them to get the wrong idea. We love all people.
Yep. Okay. Whatever. Anyway, back to what I was saying, because you brought up Pittsburgh, and I wanted to address this, okay?
Okay.
I still don't think they have a chance of making the playoffs. Here's my reason why, okay? It's because they played so poorly at the beginning that they're trying to make up ground now. Now, they are on an undefeated run for 9 straight coming into our match. That's good. The problem is they can't be drawing matches. Like, they don't need draws, they need wins. They missed a big opportunity this week to jump up. A draw didn't help them. All it did was say, we're still above water. If we go to Pittsburgh and win, I'm calling it right now, Pittsburgh season's done. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. If Pittsburgh loses this week, they're done.
Okay, got a better question for you. What if we go to Pittsburgh and JJ scores?
I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually going to address that next thing. Okay?
All right.
And I've said this before, okay? I will say it again. I said this a couple of days ago, okay? I had a really good talk with Andrew. I know Andrew's probably not going to come into the chat and speak, but I had a good chat with him, okay?
He's a great guy.
I'm not going to give... He is a great guy. He also listens to what I'm saying and doesn't cherry pick what I say.
He also has a very gentle touch.
It's not as gentle as JJ, I'll give you that. But here's the thing. If JJ continues this, okay, and I said this to Andrew, he needs to have that presence against Pittsburgh. I don't care if he doesn't score. If he can just have that presence against Pittsburgh, that's a good step. I'm not writing this one off. All I'm just saying is pump the brakes on JJ, okay? It was a bad Birmingham team, okay? The other thing I will say is with Jack P back, I believe Footy was the one who mentioned it. I don't think you can put Jack on the bench, and here's my reason why. Because when Zach Harrell comes back, it's between Zach and Ibarra. Basically, they're going to be swapping time with each other to stay each other fresh. I personally think, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, I don't know, honestly, because he's playing well recently as well. I think you might see the same thing with Jack P and Brito. Because Brito is playing well, and I think they kind of have a similar type of style that they're playing, okay? Jack P's obviously better, but I'm just saying, like, that's what I think is going to happen. The other thing I realized with this game is with Jack P in, I'm not a fan of Dequel by himself, okay? That's me. I'm not a fan of Dequel by himself. I think he needs to have another guy.
Hey, Evan, we're going to come back to you because we want to get some other people in here, and then you can finish the rest of your takes. Ewan, what's going on, man? You got a hot mic?
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So
Thanks for
basically,
joining.
thank you. But basically what I've gathered from most of these conversations, albeit most of it is Evan's remarks about the game, is that I kind of agree with him. Because when I was watching Tampa Bay, especially last year, JJ in particular just had this demeanor about him, this almost fearful demeanor when he was going against defenders and producing great numbers. So it's more of a thing where I try to reserve myself from criticizing players, but it's almost like it's not the same type of expectations that I'd expect from JJ. Not that he's doing bad, he's producing great numbers, not necessarily converting into goals, but he's winning his chances, his aerial duels. But there's this demeanor that he had in Tampa specifically that just made him stand out in a way. I don't know how to put this in words, but it's almost like, okay, albeit this is Rhode Island, brand new identity, Tampa's more of a established club, but I feel like JJ has a different level to him that we haven't seen yet. This ruthlessness that he had in Tampa that could really do wonders for the attack.
Well, I think you got to wonder when you take a knock like he did at the end of the season with Tampa and you get injured like that and you lose a lot of time. I wonder if that is living in his head and that's making him a more of a cautious player. That could very well be a big factor. Yeah, if anyone who watched JJ highlights or watched him play in Tampa, there's no doubt about it that he was ferocious. Especially in the box. It's, he's had plenty of opportunity. He's not big on the score sheet here yet. I think it's coming. I'm a big believer in JJ. I absolutely love, his hold up play, his physicality, he wins almost every single duel in the air. He's an opposing body out there. And he does make a difference even when he's not in a scoring position. So when he does start unlocking those scoring opportunities, it's going to be a game changer for us. And the back and forth about JJ with me and Evan is really more about Doyle being the better performer, and it's not the case. So that's what that was about. Matt Hands?
Yeah, thanks. Two quick things. First, on the thing about Jack P. That was what he said a while ago. I hope he doesn't get recalled. I think that I guess we kind of should be prepared for that because we know based on he only played 4 games the last time around. But I don't know. I feel like the Revs, like you said, got some new signings, got some players back. So Yeah, as much as I don't care about the Revs, I hope that in this sense, I hope they stay healthy so Jack stays. And then the other thing on, I will say what everyone was saying about Birmingham being the worst team in the, playoff race in the Eastern Conference, he's probably right, at least lately. Like Birmingham now hasn't scored in 3 games. Like they've been shut out 3 straight games, 3 straight losses. So they, yeah, and so in their last 5 games on form anyway, they're probably the worst team in the race. I do think though that, you know, I don't think it should take too much away though from us smashing them in JJ's performance. But yeah, I do agree that they're right now, yeah, they're probably the worst team amongst that group that's kind of competing in there. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, Andrew, you got a hot mic, man.
Hey, thanks, man. I have a couple points that I was going to raise that have already been addressed here, but just really quickly before we get to the JJ stuff, I think Clay, I was going to hit on that, but I agree. I mean, I think it's easy for us to maybe even underrate him at times because we appreciate just everything that he does and how good he's been. So sometimes when he has kind of a relatively routine performance for him, it's easy to overlook it. So I'm glad that you guys called that out because I thought it was great. And one thing that stood out to me from the great conversation that Scott had last week with Gabby was Gabby calling out Clay as probably being the fastest guy on the team. So I kind of was looking for that more specifically during the match. And there were times where he would be out of a play. He'd be in the middle of the field and he would close down a guy all the way from the midfield, get the ball back, win a corner kick. He's just all over the place. And I think having him where he's positioned kind of in the field gives us this great ability to have him be a part of the attack, but also just to close down space quickly, even if it's not necessarily his guy that is closing down. So he's just kind of great coverage for whenever we're in these like defensive transition moments. So he was great. And he's also probably my favorite player too. So have an upcoming birthday and can't wait for the text that he's definitely going to be sending me. And if Clay's listening here, feel free to send me a signed jersey too. I'd be happy to take that. For Yao, I thought this was a great game for him. And I think when Dugan came in, I think we all kind of assumed, or at least I did, that Yao was the guy that he would eventually replace. And it hasn't happened yet. And I'm starting to wonder if it just won't happen. It won't happen in the way that we originally expected it to. But he's just so solid defensively. And I think what he did a little bit better in this game was distribute and have more positive distribution getting up the field. And this might have been a consequence of the way that Birmingham was set up, where they were really narrow, which really left a lot of space on the wings for Quazero and Turnbull. And I think a lot of his passes were kind of like diagonal toward those wingers. So he probably felt more at ease to be able to send the ball out there. But it was good to see there be a little bit more positivity in the way that he was passing the ball. And I think with the force that he is, I'm starting to wonder if maybe he's just going to be a permanent starter for the team and really never give way to Dugan in the way that we thought. For Jack P, with the Rev situation now, it doesn't feel like they're in a position where they're really trying to win. I think based on Jack B's assumed disappointment at not really getting the time that he was hoping to get, I feel like he's going to be here for the remainder of the year unless something pretty drastic happens. It doesn't feel like the Revs are in a situation where they're going to want to pull him up unless they absolutely have to. So I agree with Footy. I don't think we can rely on it. I don't think we can bank on it. But I do think we're in a better position now to lose him than we were earlier in the season when we got that rug pulled out from underneath us. It was good to kind of see him interplaying with Fuson, kind of switching positions a lot of times where he'd be the man up next to Doyle. Sorry, not Doyle, to Chico. And Fuson would drop back. And I still think that there's a lot of room for growth there because they really haven't played a ton together. And, including JJ, that whole group really hasn't had a whole lot of time together. And obviously he was just reintroduced back into the team now. So I think more time with that group, learning each other's movements and positioning, I think that we'll continue to see more and more positive things there. Matt made a point earlier, Matt Hands, about part of the reason he was liking Doyle was that he didn't really feel like JJ was going to be scoring in the way that he's been playing. And I'll go back to, I think we've seen the best of Doyle and him playing at his most capable, and it still never really felt like he was very likely to score or to create goals. I think with JJ, assuming that there was a knock there, it felt like he wasn't playing to his potential. And we knew that when he got there, either because he was fully fit or because he was really rounding into form, that we knew he was going to be able to create a lot more. And I think when he came in yesterday, Saturday, he definitely felt a lot more in the game. I think he was knocking the ball down really well. He was really physical in his aerial duels. He was winning a lot of those balls. He was a lot more involved. He was in the box. I think he was just a force. He looked like a man on a mission, probably because they heard all the negative feedback from some people, and maybe even reading Matt's blog last week. But he looked great, and I hope that can continue. And hopefully he's getting back into the physical shape that he needs to start picking up more minutes. So for me, I mean, that's my thought on JJ. Like I did talk to Evan. We had a great conversation at the match on Saturday, and I told him the one point I agreed with was I think we need to see more of this from JJ in order to really see the team hit its potential down the stretch. I think the previous versions of JJ that we were getting isn't going to be enough for this team to really be a handful or a major handful for teams going into the playoffs. But if we can get the version that we saw on Saturday, it's going to be a big win for the team. My one quip with Evan here, though, is you're shitting on his assist, you're shitting on his goal, and then you're seeing, well, you need to see more of these types of performances before you're willing to change your stance on him. What I say is, like, pick a lane. Either he played well this week or he didn't play well. And I think he did. I think we'll see more of it. I hope that it makes it really clear by the end of this season, in the way that it's been clear with Haribo and Connor's performance that was going to be a bad take. But I think for this game in particular, you just got to pick a lane. Either he played well or he didn't play well. So that's my thought there.
Andrew out of the woodwork with straight fucking gasoline. From the back of the class, off the top rope, with just lucid, coherent, beautiful footy takes. I fucking love it. Yeah, I mean, also, I didn't realize it, but, my birthday also coming up in September. Also, Clay Holstead will be texting me. So Clay, if you're listening, also jersey would be very nice. I wear a schmedium. Thanks. The Karifa Yao thing, just awesome take. I think what I love most about, Karifa is that he's like one of the only, and maybe I'm short-sighted here, but, he's short-sighted, he's short. Maybe I'm short-sighted here, but, there's not many true fullbacks left in the game. Like, he is the truest defender. He stays back there and he just battles. He's a big dude, so he does go up for corners and set pieces, but like, he is a through and through defender, and more oftentimes than not now, defenders become attacking players. Karifa Yao is not that. He stays in his lane and he plays his role and he plays it very well. And something I forgot to mention, and that you mentioned, Scott, our friend from across the pond, did a phenomenal Tide Talk interview with Gabby Alves. And, those wrap-up questions at the end were just so great. The ones where he said that Holstead was the fastest on the team by far. But what he also said is that without a doubt, unequivocally, Karifa Yao trains the hardest. And that it was just unbelievable to hear. And it kind of shows, from his performances from the beginning of the year. I mean, he's a dog out there. I call him a dump truck because he's so physical. Definitely, it's hard when you say, my favorite player, usually picking somebody that's more of a utility guy. So a lot of us, come on, say like a guy like Holstead or somebody that's putting the ball in the net. But for somebody who played defense, his entire soccer playing life, I really, really love Karifa Yao. So great take on Karifa. And yeah, I mean, you're spot on with JJ too, or more so you're spot on with your question to Evan. And with that, we'll let Evan's had his hand raised for a while, get him back in here so he can respond to the JJ question. Did he play good or did he not?
He played good against a shitty team.
Well, okay, never mind.
I'd like to address, though, Matt, why do you want to see me shirtless again?
I don't think it was Matt. I think it'd be Andrew that you're saying that to.
Not Matt Kerman, not me.
You can look in the chat. No, you can look at the chat. It wasn't Matt Hands. It was the other Matt. Okay. Why does he want to see me shirtless again? But I will need to address this as well because this is the reason I have my hand up. The spat between Ty Talk and me / Matt Hands over the Doyle JJ thing stems back to when Mr. Slides and the Welsh guy decided to absolutely dunk on Doyle's effort shot that he had against Oakland.
It was fucking terrible.
Never once. Wait a minute. Let me finish. Never once did they address the fact that Doyle was 1 for 4 on his shots that game. JJ was 0 for 3, including a spinorama YOLO shot that wasn't even close to the net. The following week, JJ then puts a ball heading to DC. Never once did they show that video. The slander on Doyle, and Kevin, you're not out of this either.
Oh, I'm in it, baby. I'm fucking in it.
Yeah, you're in it, and they've asked you to pull out, and you still haven't yet.
I'm the worst at that.
But the Loudon match, Dequa has a sitter, 2 sitters in the first half. Kevin then puts a tweet at halftime. Doyle needs to put his ass on the bench. Never once did he mention Dequa. Never once did you mention Dequa. The reason for the rift was the backlash that Doyle was getting, which was unfair because JJ was playing worse at the time and nobody criticized him. That's what that spat was about.
What are you, his fucking PR guy?
No, I just speak facts, just like JJ only performs against bad teams.
Oh my God. Back to fence sitting on JJ's performance on the evening. Here we go. Listen, I said
I don't live by one game. I don't live by one game.
And you get the mute. Listen, I told Doyle to see the bench because he was playing fucking horrible. It was horrible. And why would I say him instead of Dequa? Because Dequa, on his worst performance, has a better opportunity to score than Doyle does. I would never say that about Dequa because Dequa finds himself in positions where he can score. Doyle, playing at his best, which Andrew alluded to, I think we've seen Doyle at his best, is still not scoring. Do I think Doyle's a bad player? No, I don't. I don't think we have any bad players on our team. I think that Doyle's had some performances that have been absolutely fucking terrible, and I called it, and that's what it is. What it is. I stand on those moments. I don't shy away from it.
Dequa putting a ball into low orbit is good effort.
Every once in a while, a forward is going to launch a ball. It's going to happen.
Yep, just like Doyle did. Except Doyle got ridiculed and his video got played twice by Mr. Slides.
Dequa does not walk to the ball. Dequa does not pussyfoot around when his team needs him. Like he moves the ball with purpose.
Oh, really? Oh, pussyfoot. Oh, really? Explain to me the pen then in the U.S. Open Cup.
Ryan, hey man, you got a hot mic, Mr. Slides.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. It's Mr. Slides himself. I quite frankly have no idea what Evan is talking about with the Doyle thing. Had a lot of sake before the Oakland pod. I also didn't watch the Loudon match, so honestly not sure. But one thing that, just to clarify my point on why that we've given Doyle some criticism, and not to speak on behalf of Scott, obviously, but my thing with Doyle is the only way that Doyle will show up in a match and will kind of impact the match is if he scores or assists. Whereas I think JJ does so much for the team that isn't scoring and assisting, which is why I've been overall pretty happy with him from that perspective. JJ Williams, when he came into this team, completely changed the way that we progressed the ball. He became a one-man out switch. He allowed us to break against unsettled defenses. He allowed us to create additional chances with his play. I said it on the show last night, but if hockey assists were a thing in soccer, I think JJ would be leading the team in those. So that is my whole spiel, is that JJ is not just, you can't judge him only by goals and assists, just like you can't only judged Mark Doyle with goals and assists. But at the end of the day, I think that JJ does significantly more to impact the entirety of the game than Mark Doyle can on just given their skill sets, given their physical differences and things like that. So that is why I will prefer JJ until the end of time, mostly because if I was a center back, I would significantly be more worried about playing JJ than Mark Doyle as well. So that's my spiel. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate your time, man.
Like to know what match he's watching, because clearly it's not the right one.
Well, it would be very funny if this whole time I've been just not watching Rhode Island FC. That'd be a great bit.
Well, Ryan, we have caught you before admitting you haven't watched matches,
I
so
literally just
we've
said
caught
I
you
didn't
before.
watch the Loudon match. I said it right now 2 seconds ago. I was at a birthday party.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the Loudon match. I'm not talking about the Loudon match. I'm talking about previous matches.
Which
Okay.
ones?
Let's see. I specifically remember, I believe there was a match. I believe it was probably
You're doing a lot of
either.
believing for someone who's accusing
That's
me of
tough,
something.
Was it on a summer's eve?
What? No, because on a crisp summer eve, JJ would have a hat trick against a D3 team, and then we'd celebrate it. No, I believe
We don't. What is he talking about? Does anyone in the corner know what Evan's talking about?
I guess this is the thing that I think Andrew was kind of saying. It's like, did these goals and assists count, or do some goals and assists count? Do we count all Mark Doyle's? Like, why do some goals and assists count? Why do some not? This is getting a little confusing. But I also still want to know what match.
No, what I'm saying is, excuse me. What I'm saying is, you can't sit there and tell me he is back. JJ's back, which I was seeing in mentions when it was against a Birmingham team that is playing like shit right now. That's why I said pump the brakes. And then what? We haven't played Pittsburgh yet, so I don't know if he's going to suck in.
Listen, JJ is a fucking beast.
2 goals. 2. That's it. That's not a beast.
Who's he tied with? Who else has 2 goals that you like?
Oh, let's go to the chat, by the way. Let's go right to that thing I posted. Let's see. Here we go. 2 goals that he has. He's tied with Joe Brito, better player. He's tied with Mark Doyle, more effective striker. He's tied with he's tied with Quizera, who just got called to his national team and has proven to be very, very good so far. And then we have King, who, if he didn't get injured, I think he'd be at 4 goals by now. Just saying. That's who he's tied with. He's the worst on that list.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Just by his effort.
I'm sorry, did you say he was tied with Mark Doyle?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Yeah, he's tied with Mark Doyle.
Wait, but Evan, do you think there's anything in it that JJ and Mark Doyle are being asked to do different things around the pitch?
I will tell you right now, I can tell you that, here's the thing. And it's kind of I'm going to lump the forward core in together on this question, okay? I'm going to lump them all together because I feel like each one's being... Ryan? Silence.
Nobody tells anyone to be silent on the call corner except for the fluffy.
The forward core, and I don't know if Kano is doing this because the forward core is, I'm not going to say incompetent in scoring, but they're not as reliable as some of our midfielders are scoring. And I think that might be a problem down the stretch. That's just my feeling on this. They got to fix that. Hopefully, with this game against Birmingham, maybe it unlocks something. We'll see when they go to Pittsburgh, who's a good defensive team, okay? I will say this about JJ with his play. It seems like his play, they're telling him to basically hold up the play and control possession around the box and see if they can make a crack into the armor of the defensive team.
In that regard,
like that
he's fucking outstanding.
Also, Evan, hey,
Stop.
I agree. saying the words agree.
Stop.
I agree.
You can say agree with the thing muted, okay? But here's the problem I have with that strategy, okay? With JJ.
Okay.
With the problem with the possession thing, his possession is outside the box, and usually it's, okay, we're gonna pass it out wide, and then try to cross it in. I need JJ in the box for those crosses. He's outside the box on the crosses, and they're usually going to Albert Dequa. Last time I checked, he's a tiny little guy. I think he's a little taller than Kevin, but not much. But that's not going to work. You need his size in the box on those crosses. And that's the thing I hate with the hold-up play, because if he's going to do a hold-up play, I need him to pass it and then move into the box. That's what I need to do, not stand outside. The problem, now I'll go into Mark Doyle, the way they use him. Mark Doyle is basically, his job is to get it in the box. He leads the team usually when he's on the field and touches in the box. The problem is he can't, I'm going to be honest, he's not reliable when it comes to putting the ball in the net. He puts in the effort to get there to the spots, but he doesn't have that foot consistently enough to put the ball in the net.
What do you think that's a problem?
You need you need a combination of the two. If we could put Doyle and JJ to one player, I think you would have a really good striker. But that's the problem. You have two different ideas, and it's like, hey, can you do a little bit of what Doyle's doing? Hey, can you do a little bit of what JJ's doing? That's kind of what's going on. But that's kind of the problem with the forward core is, I'm not saying Kano's using them incorrectly. I'm not saying he's wasting away talent at the forward core. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, I don't like how he's being used when it's basically, sometimes it's cross FC for us, especially with JJ. When you're asking him to hold the play, pass outside, whip it into the box, and JJ's nowhere near that to get the header.
Ryan, you have your hand up. What's going on?
I just have to set the record straight that Chico is 6'2".
Yeah, no, I know.
Literally all I wanted to say. He's 6'2".
Well, it's interesting because something else just happened. Evan said that Mark Doyle's job is to get into the box, but admittedly, he has a hard time finishing, which is a problem for a forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the way that I would look at the strike, you need to look at them as a strike partnership. So the idea is that you'll have some that are better at some things, some that are better at others. I think the idea about this team is that JJ is a hold-up play and Chico's a finisher. I think Mark Doyle is more of a Chico sub. The thing I've said we need to address in the summer is that we don't really have a JJ sub. So when JJ's out of the team, we fundamentally have to change the way that we play, versus when someone like a Chico we can replace with a Doyle, who we're trying to ask to do the same thing. So the whole thing you have to remember when we are critiquing these players is, what is the coach asking them to do, and how is that impacting the way that they play? So I think JJ is being given very specific instructions on how to play. I find it to be very effective, and that's my big take on JJ.
I love Doyle off the bench. He comes out with energy. He's aggressive. He does get into the box. I think he is the guy to bring on when Chico's not doing it. I agree. I don't think that he is ever at least the way that I see the team playing the best and the way I enjoy it the most. I would never say, oh yeah, let's have Doyle start over JJ. No, I want JJ downfield, catching those bombs from Koke, bringing it down, setting up play, and seeing where we go from there. 100%. That's where I'm at.
Kevin, I wouldn't be doing my Big J journalist bit here. I am getting conflicting reports. Albert Dequa is actually listed as 6'1" on the Rhode Island FC website. He's listed at 6'2", United States Championship site. So I just want to be clear that there's a little bit of inconsistency there, but he is allegedly not as tall as you and I. So
yeah, no, you are doing extremely good journalist work right there.
Thank you.
I've seen shrubs bigger than you two, and with more hair.
That's cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right, hey, Evan, hold on. It is 10:15. We are going to jump into scoring predictions for the game on the road against Pittsburgh. Let me know what your thoughts are. Go ahead, Evan.
Well, I was going to ask regarding that because we know Rhode Island, when it comes to injury reports, not exactly the best with saying it. So was there any reports of anyone in a boot after the game or anything like that? I personally think they're going to sit Yao because I think they're going to play Dugan for him. I think they're doing a rotation with that. Matt Hands, go, please speak because before I get my prediction.
Hold on. Well, no, the only one that left that game injured was you. Your feelings were hurt. Matt Hands, go ahead.
No, the boot thing reminded me. Yeah, Haribo looks like he's out of a boot because I saw him on the field after the game, and then he actually was walking through the tailgate parking lot. Actually, I saw him there, so he looked like no boot. So that's good. Hopefully he'll be back soon because I think we need him for reinforcements there in the midfield. So that's all I wanted to say.
And are we missing Quazera this week with him? When does he get?
He's traveling.
Yep. Yeah, Quazera is, I think, this game, and then Loudon. Was it Loudon? I think.
Yes, it's Loudon. I think
it's this game. Based on when Rwanda has their games coming up, so there's they always obviously do 2 and 2. So there's 2 in September, 2 in October. So definitely Pittsburgh, and then assuming he gets called up again, I think it's Loudon is the other game for sure. If not, maybe another game too after that, depending when he gets back, that kind of stuff. But yeah, those two, Pittsburgh away and then Loudon at home, are the 2 games that are in the middle of that international break.
I think what's going to be interesting about Quazera going on international duty is I think you're going to see Fuson get pushed out to the wing, which
that's what I was.
Which is really going to be really great to see. I think that it's not like I want to see Quazera gone, but I think that'll be a very interesting play.
Here's another thing I was thinking. I think this could work because he technically was playing there at the beginning of the season when we were still trying to figure it out. I could see Doyle out there, and I'm dead serious when I say that. I think Doyle could do that. But I'm going to say this. I was criticized when I said 4-0 last week. Okay?
Could have been.
I was said, you're crazy. Exactly. It could have been and probably should have been if we weren't hitting golf, if we weren't wedging the ball over the net. But here's what I'm saying. Pittsburgh is a good defensive team. I think they're tied with Battery for least amount of goals conceded in the Eastern Conference. I think I'd have to double check that. So they're a good defensive team. However, their problem is they can't score. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair. I personally think it's going to be – I'm not going to predict a draw because I don't think it's going to be a draw. I think this is going to be a very sloppy 1-0 Rhode Island FC victory.
You got a hot mic.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with Evan there because with Rhode Island, what I've gathered is that they like to play expansive football, really stretch the width of the pitch. And Pittsburgh has a very tight pitch, a really compact pitch. So this might be a very, how do I say? It might struggle. Each team might struggle to have a flow about them. So yeah, I'm thinking 1-0 to Rhode Island or a draw at worst.
So, all right, go ahead, Andrew.
All right, so really quick, thank you for giving your thoughts here, Ewan. I'm pretty sure this is a plant by Evan, though, right? I mean, new guy coming on, appreciate your takes, but everything you said has been agreeing with Evan. So I'm not totally convinced that this is above board here, but if it is, then I appreciate you jumping on and happy to hear your takes. For me, I think this is another 2-0 victory. I feel like they've been in a little bit of a slump, and I think that this last match and what JJ was able to do, I think Birmingham was our slump buster. I think we're going to come back and win this game 2-0.
That's hysterical, Andrew. Not your score prediction, but everything else. That was fucking hilarious. I do think that this is going to be a slugfest. I think that this is going to be a tightly contested game. I think that it's going to be level for the majority of the game, and I think the RIC is going to do what they like to do and put one in late. I think we're going to win 2-1 on the road in Pittsburgh.
I'd also like to add a hot take to what I would like to say, if that's okay.
All of your takes are hot, Evan, mostly stinky.
No, they
Like
don't
a
usually
pile of
stink.
shit.
You just cherry pick and find the stinky.
Let's go.
But I am going to predict
Today, Junior.
JJ starts, Chico's on the bench.
Okay. I don't know if that's a hot take, but we'll take it.
Wait, can I just ask why?
Yeah, I don't know why you do that.
So here's my reason for that is when JJ plays, what would you say? It's like 30, 40 minutes lately off the bench?
Yes, sure.
So what I'm saying is if they're trying to get him up into form, he's going to have to start one of these games eventually. Why not do it against Pittsburgh?
But why Chico?
That's what I'm saying.
Why Chico?
Because he sucks right now. He can't put the ball in the net. That's why. In fact, I'm going to say this as well. If JJ gives me 4 goals in 4 weeks.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I was doing something else. Did you say that Chico sucks too? Evan, you can come off mute now.
Yeah, he can't score right now. He can't. He couldn't score against Loudon, and he looked completely ass against Birmingham.
Okay.
Okay, he did.
Yeah. Keep running.
Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I will say.
Dragging him through
You
the
guys,
mud.
hang on. You keep bringing up how I have JJ as the worst player on the team.
Well, that's what you said.
Because there's nobody else that fits that description right now, okay? If JJ has finally figured out how to play as a striker, and he scores 4 in the next 4 weeks, okay? He will be off that pedestal.
Oh, thank God.
However, he will be off that pedestal. However, Chica is right now number 2 is the worst right now. And the reason I have that is because the strikers are the problem right now. You're right now at 5th place right now, okay? You want to get a home playoff game, the strikers need to perform badly. If they play as abysmal as they're playing right now, we're not getting a home playoff game.
I don't want them to play badly at all. I want them to play to their potential.
Yeah. And right now JJ isn't, and Chica is. Let's put it this way: we knew he wasn't going to score 20 goals. I don't think there was anybody when we signed him said he's going to score 20 goals again. But he should be at double digits by now. Like, holy crap, dude! You can't put the ball in the net if your life depended on it. Like, you suck. Like, I'm going to say that.
Evan's just fucking with us now. This is a complete satire.
We also didn't expect him to assist much, and he's had some really good assists and beautiful combination plays that have led to goals. So I think that's a part of the game that we weren't expecting.
Hey Andrew. When we signed him, it was to score goals.
No, that's fine. Expectations aside, I'm just saying you can bash it for the goals. I think that's fair, but I also think that he's done more in the assists.
Okay. Wait a minute. But Andrew, if you want to play that game, and he's had really good assists, okay, play him at Cam. Don't play him as a striker. Because he's already proven he misses Prince Sadie so much, he wants to play like him.
I mean, the position is entirely different as a Cam as opposed to a striker.
Absolutely.
It's a different position altogether. You can't expect to move him there. It's like
I know that. But his foot right now has been better, I feel, with passing the ball this year, and that's not even a hot take. It's been better for passing than shooting. That's my point.
I have a question for you. You know who our strikers are. Who for the rest of the season? Who would you put up top? Because they all suck apparently. So who would you put up there?
Okay, I would to answer that. I would
You have to say
actually.
Doyle.
This is
You have
kind
to
of
say Doyle. Oh
no,
my God.
because I'd have to know. I would have to know who the midfielders are. Okay, because each one is different. I think,
The midfielders are going to be
and
exact.
I'll
What do
explain
you mean?
why.
Who are the midfielders? You know who the midfielders are. It's Holstad, it's Ibarra, it's Paniotu, it's Turnbull, and it's either Quazera or Fuson.
Okay, so you're going with the best. You're going with the best ones. That's what you're going with.
Yeah,
Okay,
I tend to
that's
go
what you're
with the best
saying.
ones. Yeah.
Okay, if you're going by that standard, right now, I'm going with JJ.
Oh my fucking God. All right, everyone. Really appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for joining the Quahog Corner, episode 26. This is going to be the episode that you're definitely going to want to listen back to multiple times for the rest of the season to say, he said, she said, whatever they said. This is going to be the one. I appreciate everyone's time. As always, up the tide.